Hey, what's up, you guys? Bringing to you another action figure review. We got the Marvel Legends Doc Ock SPDR Wave here. So this is a figure that has been highly sought after by yours truly. So on the side, in classic Marvel Legends style, we got the Art Deco, got the brief read up on the back. How Octavius gears up for mechanical tentacle appendages is the evil genius Doc Ock. And that he is, no doubt. See, it's part of SPDR Wave, but it does not come with any Build-A-Figure piece. Got the other Art Deco on the side there. Got Marvel Legends up top. Got the spider symbol up top. And you have Doc Ock himself in the packaging. This is a figure that I've been wanting for a while. So this was highly sought after by yours truly. So I really want to get into this. I really want to dive into this figure. He looks amazing. I love the sculpting on this figure, and just to have a new Marvel Legends Doc Ock is awesome. And I am just so happy with what Marvel Legends is doing. So without further ado, let's get into the review. Doc Ock coming at you. Let's do it. And so with Doc Ock almost out of the packaging, damn, he's shaking a little bit. Sorry about that. Yeah, so with Doc Ock out of the packaging, well, almost out of the packaging, you got Doc Ock himself. Then you got these tentacles here. That's what's going on. So I'm gonna have to set those up. You connect it through to his back, so that's how that goes. And this is the like background accessory that basically almost all the Spider-Man Marvel Legends figures come with. So that's what's going on with that. These are the tentacles out of the packaging. So I'm gonna have to hook these up. And this is Doc Ock himself. Love the sculpting, love the sculpting. So these is where you're gonna have to plug the tentacles in these back holes here. So I'm about to do that in a sec. Yeah, so I mean, this is like a small example of like how you could pose him with the tentacles. I really like this figure. I think that this is really dope. So, you plug him into his back. It's very easy assembly. Not anything too difficult. Anything like that. If you want further proof of that, just you plug it back there like so. Very easy. And I really like the coloring and the tentacles as well. I really like that effect. I like the sculpting of the tentacles. Now everybody is moaning and bitching about this not being a bendy wired tentacle like the previous Marvel Legends Doc Ock, which I never had. But you know what? I still like this figure, even in spite of that. And also, what I think is a nice touch is that he has sculpted eyes underneath. So you can lift up his little shaded glasses there, and you can see the sculpting of his eyes. I really like that as well. So for those of y'all who know me, this is the part of the review where I either bash on a figure, which I don't bash figures very often, but there was some figures that I had problems with that I didn't really like. But usually this this is the part of the video, like, if y'all know me, y'all know my channel. When I like a figure, this is the part of the review where I gush about it. So I would get into some of the pros and cons of it. Now, obviously, the cons are the tentacles. I kind of have to admit, I have to agree with the other reviewers that it's a shame. It's a shame that you can't bend the tentacles. I mean, you could bend them, but they'll just revert back to the same position that they're in. It's not a bendy wire material on the inside. So that is kind of a shame. But on the other hand, on the plus side, the figure shines in the best possible way, and that's the sculpting. Usually, Marvel Legends are usually solid, and they've only been getting better with their sculpt work. Just look at this Doc Ock from head to toe. He looks great. He looks fantastic. He looks like off the page of a comic book, which is how Doc Ock should look. And his tentacles are sculpted very nicely too. So, and also you could switch out the top pieces of his tentacles. You could switch them out. You could switch out the tentacles from his back. So, I ain't nowhere near like, you know, an articulated, posable action figure kind of guy. Like how the ACBA community, how they got that whole thing going on. But I do like to pose my figures around, for fun sometimes. And I could just tell you right off the bat, just because there is some hindrance with his tentacles, you could still get him into some pretty neat poses. Him versus Spider-Man, or what have you. So for me, this is a solid figure. I will give it, my score would probably be a 9 out of 10. I would say a 9.5 out of 10, because maybe the only gripe would be the tentacles, because I love everything else about him. I love the sculpt work. They didn't even have to give him sculpted eyes underneath his glasses. They could have just glued his glasses on, and that could just been the end of it. But they really paid attention to detail. They colored the inside of his tentacles, like I showed earlier. The sculpt and paint work on his clothing is fantastic. His hair is sculpted amazingly. I love that grit, like that. I love that expression on his face that he has. I mean, if I think about Dr. Octavius, Dr. Octopus, that's the kind of expression that you would expect him to have. I also like his body mold, which I'll get into the articulation in a bit. But his body mold is great. Everything just works. The sculpting of his tentacles, I mean, just the sculpting of him in general, and the articulation is great, except for the tentacles. So I would probably say a 9.5 out of 10, because that would probably be like the only gripe that I would have, would probably be the tentacles. But that doesn't bother me as much as it bothers, some other people, probably the people who really want like some serious articulation with the tentacles. So that doesn't really bother me as much. That's why I would probably give it a 9.5 out of 10. But yeah, just a solid figure, just an amazing figure, and I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with this figure. So let's jump into articulation. So for articulation, arms go about that much. Arm twist, double jointed elbows, full rotation, hinge, up and down. He has an amazing swivel in his waist, so you get some very much nice articulation there. For rotation in the head, a little bit of head wobblage, and you have an upper thigh cut, doubly jointed knees, of course. Well, which is pretty amazing for a Doc Ock. Boot cut, and up, down, and of course ankle pivot. So can't go wrong. So this figure has very solid articulation for a Doc Ock figure. Oh, and also look how amazing Doc Ock, he can get down. He could probably do the James Brown. Yeah, he can. Hey! Yeah, so me personally, I'm going to stick with my score of a 9.5 out of 10. I think the good outweighs the bad. Probably the only negative would be the tentacles. Other than that, it would be a perfect score for me personally, but I guess you really can't ignore the non-bendable tentacles. But you know, for a figure of this price range, you are getting some very good quality. The sculpt work is solid. The figure is solid. The articulation is solid. You know, and really, what more can you ask for? I mean, obviously, people are always going to ask for more, but I mean, for me personally, this figure is near perfection. I mean, when it comes to Doc Ock, it's funny because Dr. Octopus has, well, when I was a kid, he wasn't one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. It was usually Carnage and Venom and, you know, the Green Goblin, you know, like those are like my top cool characters. And even when I used to watch the Spider-Man, the animated cartoon back in the day as a kid, I still kind of saw Dr. Octopus as being like a goofy character. But what changed that was the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 movie. It just made me see Doc Ock in a whole new light. So now, ever since then, I had a new appreciation for the character, reading the comic books. He's an incredible character, so I think this is probably the best interpretation of Dr. Octavius, aka Dr. Octopus, aka Doc Ock. So I definitely say this figure is definitely worth a pickup. And I say pick him up while you can, because eventually when these figures start to age, you won't be able to get them. They'll become a rare item, and then you'll be stuck wishing that you got a figure like this. So this is a classic for me. I think this is going to go down as one of those Marvel Legend classics, depending on your style. Like I said 100 times over, people are not going to appreciate the figure because his tentacles don't bend. But when you look at the figure overall, it's a very, very solid figure. So this has been me reviewing the Marvel Legends Doc Ock SPDR Wave, which no piece comes with that. But yeah, that's basically pretty much my review. So hope you enjoyed the review. Thanks for the subs, guys. For, you know, I have a couple of new subscribers, so you know, I've been watching out for that. Also, I appreciate you guys feedback. And you know, give me a like if you're so inclined. Keep subscribing, and until next time, guys, see ya.